Hi, and welcome to this screencast tutorial from Sonic Vista Academy. My name's Paul Nolan. I am the co-founder of Sonic Vista Academy, and today I wanted to talk about the more advanced audio editing techniques within Logic Pro 9. Often when I speak to people who maybe aren't a big fan of Logic Pro, or they use another DAW instead of Logic, they often cite the audio editing as being not quite as flexible and not quite as good as Pro Tools particularly. And I often am surprised by this because once you drill down into the deeper options and preferences within Logic and get used to some techniques, you can really do some amazing pro level, very quick and fast audio editing. That's very, very easy indeed. So without much delay, let's get on with the show. Let's listen to this audio loop here that I've basically built with 4 different audio tracks. So you get the idea. Essentially, I would like to be able to split these into various groups. And traditionally within Logic, the way you would do that is to go all the way up to the top right-hand corner. And essentially, you've got 2 tools. You've got the left click tool and the command click tool, which the mouse pointer will default to when you hold command. So very useful. Again, you've got 2 mouse tools for the price of 1. So when I teach a lot of people Logic Pro and how they go towards editing audio, normally people will go to the top right hand corner, select this as a tool, and let's say, for example, where we want it. Now, that is a valid way of doing it. However, if you think about a carpenter, where we've got the toolbox on the screen, it would be like a carpenter in his workshop having his toolbox 15 meters away from where he's actually working. And it's quite a harsh outlook that I have on workflow within music production, but I think about all of the seconds that I take up by going up to the top right hand corner, changing the tool, and then coming back again. There has to be a faster way. And the good news is that there is, and there are several faster ways of doing it. First of all, I will bring the toolbox to me rather than going to the toolbox. So if I press escape here, it will then bring the toolbox up wherever my mouse pointer is, which is automatically a lot quicker. This brings into focus another key element, that when you bring this shortcut menu up, you have a list of numbers from 1 to 0, and then for the last 4 options, you have Q, W, E, and R, which will relate to the QWERTY row of keys on your computer keyboard. Now, you can get to know these numbers quite well. So when I'm editing like this, I can basically say, right, escape number 5, there's my. If I want to glue a region back together, escape and number 6. And if I want to rename the region, escape and number 4, the text. So once you get to learn these numbers, a very quick and fast way of working. Now I'm going to go escape and number 1 back to my mouse pointer top here. And I'm going to talk about a faster way of working. Now, if I go to the top corner here, preferences, and I want to go to the general tab, I can do it this way, or again, another keyboard shortcut to do command and comma. Will bring up the. So let's look at this in a bit more depth. And under the general tab, you also have several sub-tabs, and it normally opens on project handling. I'm going to go to the second tab across here, editing. And the second option down is of interest to us. We have 2 tick boxes. Pointer tool in a range provides either fade tool click zones or marquee tool click zones when these boxes are ticked. So I'm going to start off by going on marquee tool click zones. Now, a lot of people in Logic don't use the marquee tool as I close out of this, which I find quite interesting because it is one of the most underestimated and underrated. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about now is that how the marquee tool click zone works. Now, what we mean by a click zone is that a certain area of a region or a track will be devoted to a particular tool. So it will save you the time of even pressing escape and going all the way down to the marquee tool, or pressing E on the keyboard. Because if I'm in the top half of this audio track, in the top half of this region, I will have a normal mouse pointer tool. Now, if I drop the mouse down below the halfway line here into the bottom half of the region, you will see now that the marquee tool has automatic, which facilitates incredibly quick audio. So let's have an example of that. If I would like to separate this first kick from the other three, I can go up to where the second kick drops, double click on the keyboard, on the mouse I should say, and there you go. That's now created. No need for scissors tool, no need for escape number 5. It's just a thought and then an action based on how logic supports you through the click zone. Again, another example that you can do with this is that I can highlight an area and then click on the top bar, and it will then create. That's another way it can do it. So again, if I need a specific area, that's very useful. So let's say I want to highlight these 2 kicks. Very, very easy. You can drag with the left mouse button, or click and hold on the trackpad if you're using a laptop, and then follow the actions and then click on the top bar. So another way you can use the marquee is quite useful, where if I was to click away there, and let's say I want to delete this last kick, you can drag over, press backspace. Now what's useful about this is that the marquee tool also has transient detection. So it will actually default the selection you make the nearest transient that it, meaning the actual first attack part, let's say here. And as you can see, as I click into a certain area, it will automatically bolt it to the next transient. This is incredibly, because you can have a lot of faith and a lot of understanding and be able to really trust that selection. So again, if I undo Command and Z, bring back, interesting, the part of the region that we deleted before. However, in this case, it's brought it back as an individual region. If I undo again, it will. Now, another thing about the marquee tool, which is very useful, is that if I was just to press keyboard here to get rid of my cycle point, I can default playback from anywhere. One of the things that people tend to not like about Logic is that they have to click on beta here at the top, beta bar, to allow you to play back from a certain point. So let's say, for example, I want to start playback from here to check the last bar. I would either have to click and drag it to here and do this, or click on it and have to navigate this way, which when you're in the midst of a large production can be very difficult. So one of the things you can do with a marquee selection is that you can instigate playback. So let's say, for example, if I press return and my playhead is now back at bar 1, I want to be able to produce a marquee tool selection point so it plays just the last bar. So if I click here just before the last bar and then press spacebar, and then again, very, very easy to be able to navigate through a session. And again, anywhere I click on any channel, it will default to start playback. So this makes it a lot more like Pro Tools in a way where you have the timeline insertion, and you can actually basically have a timeline insertion follows playback function where you can allow the playhead to play from wherever you click. So very, very useful. Return that back there. Now, another thing that we have to understand about click zones, etc. When we go back to here in our preferences under the fade tool click zones, this is another time saving. What I can do now is, if I just zoom in on this last, normally when I am using Logic, let's say for example, we go back. One of the things you'll see is that normally I will get this function which allows me to create a copy, duplicate of the original copy into bar 5 and onto bar 6 here. Now, if I have the fade tool clicked on, what this will now give you instead of the loop is a fade tool. Now, again, this is another time saving function, because what you have to do normally to create a fade is to press escape, go to the fade, and then draw the fade in by clicking and dragging from outside of the inside of the to draw a fade out. Or in other cases, like this, to create a crossfade between. Now, what would make life a lot quicker and a lot simpler is if we had those fade tools pop up at the actual top corner of the region. So if I now go back towards my pointer tool, I now have a fade tool, which means I can click and drag without having to go back into the toolbox or specify any other tool. And again, the same here, which makes life incredibly quick, because when you are editing audio a lot, you can produce clicks, pops, and audible distortion. So having a fade tool very handily placed at the top left and top right hand corner of the region saves masses of time and also makes life a lot easier in the general thought process. So that's another really key element. If you do want to actually produce a loop function, it's very simple. You hold Alt on the keyboard, hover over the top right hand corner of the region, you will get the normal fade. But without Alt or any modifier key being pressed, top right hand corner and top left will give you the fade when that tick box in preference. One final thing as well that a lot of Pro Tools users state as having an advantage over Logic is the fact that you can do a function called tab to transient, which means that you can press tab on the keyboard in order to actually maneuver different transients as you go along the session. The playhead will actually, or the timeline insert, will actually default to the transient on. A lot of people think that this is not something that Logic can do, which is actually wrong. Again, the way Logic works is that it is very customizable and you can make it do whatever you want it to do. And a lot of what Logic is capable of doing is available only with keyboard shortcuts. And sometimes you have to learn how to assign your own shortcuts to get this. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. If I go to Preferences and then another keyboard shortcut here, Alt and K, that will bring that up. Now, what I've got here, I have transient already filled in the search box. But if you wanted to bring up all of the keyboard shortcuts or available functions for, let's say, zoom, tap in zoom in the search box and it will bring up all of the available keyboard shortcuts as they are mapped and available ones for functions that you may do on a regular basis that there isn't a keyboard shortcut currently mapped. So, very useful. If I double click in here and then turn the search field to transient, what you'll see is under global commands is that you have two options, forward and rewind by transient, which means that when you assign keys to this particular function, let's say forward by transient first, you can actually default a selected region and have the playhead move forward and back by region, which makes life a lot quicker. Okay, so as you can see here, I have mine on F15 and F14 because I have a keyboard with a numerical keypad, which is always very useful. You do get extra. And find a couple of keyboard shortcut combinations that will work. So what I'll do is here, I'll just delete these two. And then if I click Learn by Key Label, so it's grey like that, and then I tap in the keyboard shortcut that I would like it to be, forward by transient, I'll make it 15. I'll then click on the one below it, click on F40, and then unclick Learn by Key Label. This is now a set keyboard shortcut. So I have a selected. If I tap F15, you can now see that it's defaulted to the first transient at the beginning of this region. Press it again, goes to the second, third, fourth, and then F14 will bring me back and forwards. And as you can see, as I get to the end of the region, it will stop that. Now, if I want to select all of the tracks within this region, I can click on the track header, which now, as you can see, all of the 4 bars have come up in black, which now means F14, F15 allows me to basically go all the way to and from, back and forth, each region and transient. Now, what's really useful now is that if I backslash, I can now use nothing but the keyboard to split my kicks up into. And there you go. I can actually now do this on any. So if I go back to the beginning, forward slash, or backslash I should say, and now I've got it selected and split into regions that I want, which makes things really, really quick, because now I have a few set keyboard shortcuts which allow me to edit this audio very quickly without need for the toolbox, without the need to go into the top right hand corner of the screen all the time and going through less comfortable edit options. So one thing that I will do offline of this tutorial is that I will make available my keyboard shortcuts for Logic, which are mapped very similarly to how they are in this tutorial. So the link will be at the bottom of the page and also on the website www.sonicvistaacademy.com, and you can install that into your own version of Logic by following the instructions on the blog post there. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a taster of exactly what we cover at Sonic Vista Academy. We're a really high-end training facility based in Ibiza, Spain, and we're here to help you get your career to the next level. Very exciting. We are opening our doors on July 26, 2012 for our first round of courses. Think about signing up. We will be more than happy to see you over in Ibiza in fantastic surroundings, learning from some of the greatest in the industry, including Michael Honig from Tangerine Dream and Andy Taylor of Duran Duran. I've been Paul Nolan, and I am the co-founder of Sonic Vista Academy, and thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.